Pregame.com.
And welcome back. Pregame.tv. Ken Thomson, just a quick update on the Braxton Miller situation for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And I had a couple guys on my show as far as from the Ohio State program. Paul Keels, the voice of the Ohio State Buckeyes, joined me about 2 weeks ago. And then Kevin Noon from BuckeyeGrove.com was also on the show the night that Braxton Miller was injured. We were not sure if it was going to be a season-ending injury, but we thought and speculated that it could be based on what was coming out of the camp there in Columbus. It'll be a brutal hit for Ohio State. There is no doubt about it. If they were going to make it to the Final Four, more than likely they'd have to do it with Braxton Miller in the lineup. J.T. Barrett, he is the one that has emerged as the #2 guy, so now he is #1, and Jones will be #2 there for the Ohio State Buckeyes. When we look at this Ohio State Buckeye team, they also lose Carlos Hyde. That is a big blow in itself. Philly Brown also gone to the NFL. So some key weapons for Urban Meyer's team. Offensive line, 4 or 5 starters are gone. They bring in a transfer, a senior from Alabama, a kid that had a year of eligibility left. They try to shore up the offensive line. So a lot of question marks there. Braxton Miller or no Braxton Miller, this Ohio State team would still have a tough go of it, especially in East Lansing when they have to take on a Michigan State team. D'Antonio's got that team rolling. The offense really came on at the end of the year last season with Connor Cook at the helm, and I really think this Michigan State team is the team to beat in the Big Ten. For you folks up there in Eugene, don't count that win at Autzen Stadium week 2 against Michigan State as a W as of yet. You're going to have to prove it on the field. Mariota, we know, is tough with Marshall and Tyner in the backfield. There's a lot of offense there for Oregon. They did lose Johnstone off the offensive line, and that was a key blow. But still, Oregon will be favored in that game. But again, this Michigan State defense, they lose Bullock and a few others on the defense, but it is still a solid nucleus there, and they will give Oregon trouble. And again, they will try and slow the game down a little bit, run the ball effectively, and use that big offensive line and their solid defense to stay in that game. For the Ohio State Buckeyes, again, going to East Lansing, that is going to be a tall task. We look at the Ohio State non-conference schedule. I think it's a pretty good non-conference schedule. You open against Navy, Kenny Niumatalolo's team. There's no doubt they'll be prepared to take on Ohio State, but they lost a lot on defense. They bring back Keenan Reynolds, outstanding quarterback, and one of the better rushing quarterbacks in the country. Rushed for 31 touchdowns last year, and Navy will be ready. There is no doubt. Ohio State's defense, though, that is their strength, and their defensive line, one of the best in the country. We expect them to slow down the midshipmen. But again, that game up in the air now without Braxton Miller, because we don't know how effective that offense will be for Ohio State. Week 2, we know Bud Carson will pull out all stops there for Virginia Tech. Again, the game is at the Horseshoe, so we expect Ohio State to come through. Again, Barrett will be asked to do some passing. He's pretty accurate, but probably a lot of short intermediate passes, nothing huge downfield unless it's off a play action fake where they sell the defense. Then the third game's against Kent. Then they have a bye week, and then they take on Tommy Tuberville and Cincinnati, and Gunnar Kiel, of course, will be the new quarterback there for Cincinnati's Bearcats. And then the tricky game, October 4th, after the Cincinnati game, they go to Maryland. Randy Edsall's got a pretty good club. I'd keep an eye out for that, because if Ohio State exhales and gets through Navy, Virginia Tech, Kent, and Cincinnati in non-conference, they then have to open up at Maryland. And again, Maryland and Rutgers, the new kids on the block as far as the Big Ten. So again, Ohio State, it's a huge blow. I think it takes them out at least initially till we see what Barrett can do as far as that 4-team playoff. I have Michigan State now a heavy favorite to win the Big Ten. I think they have a good chance to get there. And again, if they can beat Oregon, I think Michigan State is pretty much letting us know that they will be a player in that Big Four. We know that Florida State more than likely will cruise through the ACC, so that could actually get us 2 of our 4 and leave the SEC, the Big 12, and the Pac-12 some work to do, and we'll see if those conferences don't beat up each other and knock each other out of contention. So lots going on, but again, Ohio State, a huge blow. Braxton Miller, it's tough. This Buckeye team has been bitten by the injury bug over the last few years. Urban Meyer won his first 24, lost his last 2, the playoff against Michigan State in the Big Ten, and then the bowl game against Clemson. He'll try to rebound. We'll see what he can do. He's an outstanding coach, and this guy just reloads. Wherever he's at, whether it's Utah, whether it's Florida, here at Ohio State, he reloads. So we'll see if Barrett is that kid. You never know. We've seen other kids grow up before are very wise, a la Jameis Winston in their first season. So if Barrett can do that, Ohio State could have a chance still to get to that Final Four. But my take is right now they take a huge step backwards. And again, I already had them losing the game at East Lansing against Michigan State. Now I have them as a decisive loser in that ball game. That's a tidbit from Ken Thomson on Ohio State without Braxton Miller as their starting quarterback. Again, loss for the season. Tough blow for you Buckeye fans. It's going to do it for this week. Again, I'll be back next week with my partner Chuck Edel. We'll have plenty of college football to talk about. We'll give out some free plays for the opening first week of the season. We'll do it all right here next week on pregame.tv.